What's
Sir.
up, everybody? Welcome back to the Parker Byrd Show here in the Legless Lounge. I'm very pumped up and excited for my conversation today with Carter Cunningham. He's one of my great friends and former teammates. Carter is one of my mentors in many aspects in life. He was the last person I actually hugged leaving the dugout and the first teammate I hugged after my first ECU at-bat. Carter had an incredible journey through college baseball, from making a huge impact here at East Carolina to now chasing his dream, playing professional baseball. He left a legacy here, not only as a great baseball player, but also as a great human being. We're going to talk about his story, his faith, his leadership, the transfer portal and his take on it, and a whole lot more. Carter is one of the most genuine dudes I know, so you're definitely going to get something from this conversation. So let's jump right into it. Carter, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. Honored to even be on here.
Yeah, well, I did yours the other day, and I'm glad you could hop on here and just share some of your great words. I know you have a lot for today's listeners. So, first question, dude. When you look back at your time here at East Carolina, what stands out most about your baseball journey? Because I know it was a lot of ups and a lot of downs. So what did you take most from your baseball journey here at East Carolina?
Oh, that's a loaded question because it didn't start off great. Um, I don't think a lot of people remember that I was actually in the transfer portal after my first year. Um, it was a bumpy start to the career, but I couldn't be more grateful to God and Coach Godwin for sticking it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because without ECU, I really don't know where I'd be, especially in my faith, and that's obviously the most important part of my life. So I don't even want to think about being at a different school and not having that
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to grow in the Lord and also play with. Uh, I don't even know how many teammates I had throughout my 3 years, but some of my best friends in the entire world. Some of the guys that will be probably in my wedding, and um, I think that's what stands out the most about my career. It's the relationships that I built with the community, the teammates, the coaches, uh, even professors. I mean, Dean Harris, like
Mm-hmm.
even the dean of the business school. Like, it's those connections and those relationships that really stuck out to me, and I'll cherish forever.
Yeah, speaking about one of your good buddies and Zach Agnos, he just made his professional debut. You guys are
Yeah.
boys. Y'all have grown up together. Obviously, played here at East Carolina together. What is him making his dream and finally accomplishing that? What does that mean to you, and how special is that?
That was, I mean, such a surreal moment. Just watching him pitch and on Coors Field. I don't know. I just all the memories from. I don't know. I moved to Virginia in second grade and sat next to him in my second grade class, and we've been best friends ever since. So all those memories since then kind of flash back in my head, and just couldn't be happier for him and his entire family after what they've been through and the ups and downs. And um, it was just a surreal moment. My heart was literally pounding when he was on the mound. Like, my heart was pounding for him. But he looked so calm.
He
He did
did.
incredible. I mean, he was chucking 98, throwing a 93-mile-an-hour cutters. He was disgusting. So I uh, I think that's the start of a really long career for him in the MLB.
I agree, and I think he might have made his debut with the best jerseys in baseball too, because
Yeah.
those things were pretty fire.
Yeah, those things were sick. I
Yeah,
didn't even know they were. Is that the City Connect jersey? I think it is.
yeah. I think it's new this year because they used to have the green ones. I know, but this year
Oh,
they mixed it
yeah,
up. Yeah,
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 you're
dude.
right.
But what you've played with a lot of guys here at East Carolina that are chasing their dream and actually have made it to the MLB. Seeing those guys that you grinded with here at ECU start to live out their MLB dreams. What is that like seeing that?
It's awesome. I mean, I think obviously just being in the locker room with those guys, being around them every day, knowing who they are as people. I think first, like, obviously the fan base knows them as players, and that's great. But when you really get to know these guys, it's like there's a reason they're chasing their dreams. They're in the MLB because their majority of them are better people than they are players. I mean, Trey Savage stands out like just a phenomenal dude, phenomenal leader.
Mm-hmm.
obviously a first rounder, and guys, the fan base knows him as a first round draft pick. But like he'll do anything for you. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's just a great human being first. So it's super cool, super encouraging to see those guys chase their dreams and just continue to be molded into good people.
That's right. And speaking of Trey, you and Trey are in the same farm system now with the Blue Jays, and I believe you guys had y'all faced off against each other this spring training. What exactly was that like, and how'd that go for you?
Uh, about how a typical Trey Savage at bat goes for most hitters. Um, I was so confident. It was in my defense, not going to make an excuse, but it was my second AB of the entire spring. He caught me at the right time for him. Um, but no, he looked dominant. It was awesome having him around the facility. Just a familiar face was huge, and we hung out a lot. He's obviously one of my best friends.
That's right. Were you staying late against them or on time?
I was on time, but like even
You got to be, bro.
his
He throws
fastball, freaks.
98.
I don't know. And so yeah, you just try to time one of try to time one of the fastballs up, but even that's 98. So you could be sitting dead red heater, and he can throw it to you, and you still miss. So
That's right. Well, that's why he's
he's a tough
special.
AB.
Yeah, special.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So what made you originally choose East Carolina, and how did it live up to your expectations, or even surpass the expectations you had coming to East Carolina?
Definitely definitely surpassed the expectations that I had. I'll never forget in high school. We just went to one of Jake Agnos's games on a Friday night in front of 5,000 to 6,000 people, and I'm like, this would be pretty sick to play in one day. You're like, kind of in high school, I kind of knew I wasn't the caliber player that Coach Godwin was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
But I always kind of held on to that memory of Jake pitching in front of 5,000 to 6,000 people on a Friday night, and once it happened, obviously you just getting to experience it. Like and like it sounds so cliche, but like I truly never took it for granted. Like putting on the jersey, like
Mm-hmm.
I went to Gardner Webb, I went to a JUCO, and then I get to ECU where I'm playing in front of a dedicated fan base. Like that, that to me meant everything. And yeah, like I said, I just never took it for granted. And obviously, the Agnos family basically got me to ECU. Like they put in a good word. Zach and I were on the same travel team growing up, so like Coach Godwin knew of me.
Right.
Wasn't the player yet, but when he would go see Zach, he would also see me a little bit. And then once I hit my growth spurt and hit the portal, the Agnos family got me into ECU. I almost like got me into ECU. That makes it
Mm-hmm.
sound like they took my SAT or something. They put in a really good word with Coach Godwin, and yeah, without them, I don't know. I don't think I probably would have gone to ECU.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to my growth spurt too, but hopefully that's
It's
coming
coming.
soon. That's right. Looking back at your career here at East Carolina, what is one memory or really your favorite? I know you have tons of them. You played in a lot of cool
Yeah.
games and stuff, but what's your favorite memory? Wearing the purple and gold.
Yeah, Danny asked me this on his. It's like not even close. It's the Texas Super Regional.
Mm-hmm.
I know you didn't get to experience that, but you've experienced some big games in the regional as well.
Yeah.
But that
Well,
Texas Superman, like
I got to experience it from a fan's point of view, and I was here for game one, and that was incredible,
Yeah.
dude. Me and Grayson were in right center field, and
Yeah.
that's where Bryson hit his home run, and they have me and
yeah,
Grayson doing that in the highlight clip. So it was pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I basically was a fan. I was just ripping a the quad champ belt on the bench all weekend, but it was so sick.
Yeah, well, the Quab guy's a huge guy. I promise.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Trust. Hey, I've had my fair share.
The chart can't do itself, so somebody has to do it. Yeah.
Yep.
But Carter, you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but you did enter the transfer portal after I think it was your first year here, maybe.
Yep.
But you chose not to transfer ultimately. Walk us through that decision, and what were you feeling during that hectic process?
Yeah. At that time, it certainly I didn't want it to go that way. just the nature of the game, the nature of the business of college baseball. Kind of, I didn't perform, and money's tight, and at that time was 11.7 scholarships, and
Mm-hmm.
I was an out of state kid that was trying to pay for my own school, and as much as I didn't want to leave, I felt like financially I had to. And then Coach Godwin, this is when NIL was kind of being used for good.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to find some money through a donor who I'm extremely grateful for, to help financially keep me at ECU. Um, and that donor's somebody that I still have a relationship to this day. I literally talked to him yesterday.
That's
So
awesome.
NIL can be used in a
Mm-hmm.
positive light in situations like that. Um, Unfortunately, now I think it's blown up and it's out of control.
Yeah,
Which I don't know if we'll get to that later, but it's I'm fortunate for it, and blessed to have those people in my life.
definitely. With the transfer portal, there's so much good out there. There really is. But then there's also so much bad. And
Yeah,
luckily you had a great experience with it, going from Gardner Webb to JUCO to ultimately here at ECU. But then there's also guys that don't have a good experience with it at all. And there's so many players in the transfer portal in all sports now. What do you know? What do you kind of think about it? Do you think it's making college sports better or worse?
um, I would say worse.
Yeah.
Uh, like you said, there is good. It can be used for good situations to help people financially, to get them through school, to get them set up after school. I think that's all great things, but um, I'm gonna back Coach Godwin here. Like, his job is getting harder and harder by the day. Like,
Mm-hmm.
as a player, you see everything that goes into it, and you see um, how many kids just up and leave. Like, it's really hard to build a culture, to build a team when you know that your star player, especially honestly, let's call it like it is, especially at a school like ECU, that's a
Mm-hmm.
really good school, but it's a mid-major. I say mid-major, not like
Yeah. No, definitely.
we don't view it as that, but the
Mm-hmm.
outside crowd does, right?
Right.
And yeah, the SEC, ACC schools are going to target our best player every
Mm-hmm.
single year, um, and entice them with money. And heck, if you're an 18, 19-year old kid, like, what's stopping you from taking 200K?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's the crappy part about it. And I think Coach Godwin does a phenomenal job at building culture, at building a team, at building young men to be better people than they are players. And that's just not the case anymore. People, they just want to go get the 200K, and whether that's right or wrong, that's totally up to you. But it's just his job is getting more difficult by the day, and I a lot of people say that they'd kill to be in his shoes, but in all honesty, I'm not sure I really want to be in his shoes right now with everything that's going on.
Hey guys, I want to take a quick second and thank today's sponsor of the show, Children Health Services. They understand the importance of your child's well-being from the day they were born in the hospital. Dr. Chris Osmick, Dr. Byrd, and all the doctors there provide the best care out there. So make sure you guys go and check them out. They have a location on Arlington Boulevard right now. They have a new location coming soon on 10th Street. So make sure to go check them out for the best care out there. Thank you guys for sponsoring today's show. Yeah, and I mean he's vocal about it. He doesn't like the landscape at all, and I kind of agree with him because, like you said, his job is getting harder by the day, and ECU is so special because of the culture. I know we harp on that a lot, but it's really they do. Coach P, Coach Godwin do a phenomenal job of recruiting character, and I
Yep.
think that's the type of people that we really have to go after now, being a quote unquote mid major, and you kind of see it more in football and stuff of kind of a building block to that next team. But the character is huge. The culture here is, I think, it's best in college baseball. I mean, ultimately, this is only the place I've kind of seen, but I really just think that it's so special here because of the culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of just changing directions, man. You've grown so much in your faith, and it's been such an incredible opportunity just to be a part of that. How has your relationship with God grown throughout your baseball journey?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I don't know where I'd be without ECU. I think ECU is a really it's a unique school in that like if you want to choose the party life, you can do that. But if you want to choose, it has a great faith based community, and if you want to go down that route, you can. And um, I chose both honestly. To start my career, definitely was wearing the cross, leading FCA, but um, was not living the lifestyle. Clearly, the fruit that I was bearing was not one that Christ wanted me to. And once I finally committed to Him, committed all my ways to Him, took Him serious. I got connected in a small group. Todd Howell, you're in it. Todd Howell, Brian Sutton, Mike Wilson, all those guys. Leonard, I'm missing a few, but those guys impacted and changed my life for the better, and I couldn't be more thankful.
Yeah, they're tremendous, man. It's so important to get into a small group, I think, because that's where I learned so much from those guys that every time I go to the small group, it's like, man, I had such a good time, and it's just like you can be yourself, and I think that's
Yeah,
the main thing is being vulnerable, being open with those guys, and I really feel like I could tell anybody in that small group anything about my life, and it wouldn't go anywhere but at that table. And they're such a good support system, backbone to have, and um, it's been so incredible just to have the opportunity to get to know each and every one of those. And I know you know how special they are, but it's just think
yeah,
there's so many people like that in Greenville, in this community that are willing to give and give and give. But
yeah,
your parents, man, they're absolutely phenomenal, and I've got to know them over the past couple of years, and they've supported you through every single step of your journey. From an outsider's point of view, your family has, it's been really cool to see where your parents have grown so much in their faith. So can you really
yeah.
talk about that and how cool it is to you to see them grow in their faith, really kind of through you, because you really encouraged them to get grounded in their faith. So just talk a little bit about that.
It's certainly it's all that's God's grace.
Yeah.
It's a big blessing in my life to sort of lead them in this aspect. Um, I think they sent me off to college as the kid they always knew and raised. And when I came home, after my senior year and even going into my fifth year, I think I just saw a different side of me and a different kid that they raised, and became curious in a sense. And yeah, it's to this day like one of my biggest blessings. And I remember starting out, whenever I committed to the Lord, like really took Him serious. Like for some reason, it's like hardest to talk about with family and with like close loved ones. And I don't know why it is that way, but like
Yeah, it really is. It's
it,
crazy.
it was something that like I could go speak in front of a crowd and be perfectly fine. But you put me in like in a one-on-one setting with my mom and dad, and it's just like, or even with some of my best friends, it just like I don't know, it gets like I don't even want to say awkward. It's harder, and I think that's something that I'm still navigating through. But they've really, they provided me with such a good life, that now all I want to do is get them into eternal life, and that's not something I can do. That's only by God's grace.
Mm-hmm.
But I can certainly be the light and talk to them and set an example. And yeah, like you said, I think they're turning the corner. They're coming to Him. They're seeing the light, and it's again just been a huge blessing.
Yep, shining that light, man. That verse we talked about the other day, Matthew chapter 5,
Yeah.
verses 14 through 16, that
Yep.
is just a perfect example of you shining your light or God's light through you and them seeing that change in you. And it's kind of like, it's crazy how, life works, because I know me and you've talked about this, but back in high school, you had guys that you saw God's light through and you were
Yep.
curious. And now it kind of went to your parents to being the one that are curious about you. So it's been really
Yep.
cool to see that. But
Yep.
was there, a moment during your time here at ECU or even in professional baseball where, you really had to lean into his faith, your faith, because of times just being pretty difficult?
There certainly were times at ECU, especially in that first year, but at that time, I can't say I was a committed, devout Christian that I am
Mm-hmm.
now. And God's timing's funny that we're talking about this now because, I mean, I haven't shared this. Nobody really knows any of this, but I told you on before we started our podcast the other day, but I got put on the developmental list here, which is basically I'm inactive because of my performance the first couple of games to start the season. They have not gone the way I wanted them to go. And it's funny because I was talking with some people, and since I've really committed my ways to him about a year and a half, 2 years ago, like life has been pretty good. Like I really haven't faced too much of a trial or tribulation. And then last Friday night, I get called into the manager's office, and he tells me I'm on the developmental list, and it's like that's crushing to hear. Obviously, you want to be out there, you want to be competing with the guys, and and so right now is actually a time where my faith is being, I wouldn't even say tested. I think it's being sharpened.
Mm-hmm.
I've already leaned in and learned so much in the 5 days that it's been, and you know part of that meeting was like they don't know when I'll be back out there. Like they have no idea. It could be a week, it could be a month, it could be whatever. And
Yeah.
and that calls for a lot of patience,
Yeah.
which is difficult. Not even knowing a day or date or expected date to return. Um, it's yeah, you lean into him even more. And Mike Aman, who I was talking to, said that this isn't a setback, but it's a setup, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a setup for future success. And whenever he wants me back out there, I'll get back out there. But trusting that his plan is greater than mine, no matter what. Like we say that, Lord, not my will but yours. And then this happens, and it's like, oh man, is this really
Yeah.
your will?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
it's part of it. Like you stick it out and you trust in him. You commit all your ways to him.
Yeah. Well, just trusting in his plan, because ultimately it's so much better than ours. And looking back at this time, you'll probably be so grateful for it because of the lesson you've learned. And it is difficult going through hard times in life, and especially whenever you have these expectations. You get drafted, you're like, oh heck yeah, I'm gonna go through rookie ball, I'm gonna go to A ball, and then obviously excel to the big leagues. And whenever that gets detoured a little bit, you always say why, but
Yeah,
he's setting you up for success, man, and it's gonna be beautiful, and you're gonna look back and be very thankful for this time because of all the lessons that you have learned.
yeah. I wanna share something that Charlie Hodges actually kind of taught me this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, his career didn't go the way he wanted it to go. I'm sure if you asked him, that's exactly what he'd say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but throughout that entire time, he was like, if this is what it takes, getting me closer to the Lord, like how can I complain?
That's
And
awesome.
that's a great perspective. Like if for me right now, like if this is what is going to only sharpen my faith, like who am I to complain? Like this is at the end of the day, like he cares about our holiness and our righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
And if this is what it takes, there's no level or there's nothing in this world, this earthly world, that can hold me back from that. So having that perspective of like this is incredible. The fact that my faith is actually being sharpened and
Mm-hmm.
grown is an opportunity.
That is incredible. If you could pick, one biblical person in the Bible, I don't want to say character because that's not what they were, but one person in the Bible, what exactly, who would it be? I know Charlie had his guy, and I got the opportunity to room with him on the road sometimes, and he would just share. He'd watch so many videos, but who would you most relate to at this moment in life?
Was Charlie's Joseph?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't know, man. That's a good question. I would say it's funny because the first ever Bible verse that I ever read was Job 8:7, and I put it on my glove. And I say that, but I'm like nowhere, like I can't even compare myself to Job
Yeah.
because that dude had everything taken from him,
Yeah. Yeah.
and worse. But the first ever Bible verse, Job 8:7 says, "Your beginnings will seem humble, so prosperous may your future be." And I remember reading that, and this was it was actually at my like at that time I knew of God, but I didn't really know God. But at that time in high school, it's like that summed up who I was. Like I literally somehow I'm just a late bloomer. Like even
Mm-hmm.
now, like this, like even in pro ball, like my
Mm-hmm.
first season is not going the way I want to. Like a humble beginning, but somehow by God's grace, like it just happens. Like
That's right.
ECU career, humble beginning, terrible first year. God's grace just carried me through. Like high school, same thing. Didn't make varsity as a freshman. Didn't play as a sophomore. Okay, junior year, good team. Like literally, just by God's grace, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that verse kind of resonates with me. But like I said, I can't compare myself to Job because I don't. I live such a blessed life and don't have people dying all around me, and my house isn't taken from me, and my car's not
Yeah.
taken. Like all these things are still in here. But I would say somebody that's popped up recently in my reading is Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as you know, he denied Jesus 3 times, right? But I want to share this with the listeners because I think this is a valuable experience that we can learn from Peter. Um, I'm in, so yes, Peter denies Jesus 3 times before the rooster crows. If you keep reading after the Gospels, the book of Acts is the next book, right? And it's just the Acts of the Apostles. Well, Peter is sort of like the leader of the 12 disciples um, of the new church that's being built. And I had a revelation the other day that God revealed to me, like, here's Peter denying Jesus 3 times. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that and then
Mm-hmm.
still being able to proclaim the word, like to be bold in my faith after I just denied the Savior of the world. But this is a testament to God's grace. I don't know, it couldn't have been that much longer. But Peter's back up there preaching about
Yeah.
leading, building the church, being the church. And I'm like, that is an example of how God views us. Like we deny him every day, every single day, yet his grace is sufficient for us. That's what it says. That's what Paul writes. So my revelation was like, we as much as we turn our back from God, his unfathomable grace runs and pours over us every single day. Like he used Peter to build and start the new church. Somebody that denied him 3 times in front of like a shepherd girl. It wasn't even like
Mm-hmm.
anybody meaningful. Like it was just a
Mm-hmm.
random girl around a bonfire.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a testament, you know. And I think we're all Peter. And Peter's such a great leader that in the book of Acts you see his leadership traits. So I think that's somebody that resonates with me right now because I'm trying to grow in my leadership as well, and he's a phenomenal example of that in the Bible.
Yeah. Also about Peter, dude, you know what I think's so cool is that after Peter denied Jesus 3 times, Peter before he found Jesus, he was a fisherman, and that's where
Mm.
God found him, and he told him to go catch or be a fisherman of people, right?
Yep.
And after he denied Jesus 3 times, he immediately went back to what he was comfortable doing, and that was fishing.
Yep.
And that's where God found him again and basically said, go speak to many people again. Told him that again. But, it kind of reminds me just in life that when our plan doesn't go the way we want to, like in your situation right now, it'd be really comfortable for you to, go back to the ways that you're comfortable with. And I think that's why it's so important to, be comfortable living with Jesus, because even if you sink to that, that's ultimately
Yep.
the goal. That's what you want to do. So
Yep.
I just think it's incredible that you're going through that, and that's what you're reading, because even though Peter did what we do every single day, is deny Jesus, he went right back to what he was comfortable with, but God saved him once again
Yep.
and made him do miraculous things and start the new
Yep.
church, which I think's incredible. Hey guys, I want to take another quick second and thank another sponsor of today's show, Shimmer's Boutique. Shimmer has the best stuff out there. They have a new website that is live and has free shipping on any purchases over $100. Shimmer provides some of the best brands out there like Pimp Shrimp, Local Boy, and Yeti, and have a lot of other cool stuff for everybody. They have a location in Winterville, Greenville, and Jacksonville, and have a new website at shimmerboutiqueonline.com. So make sure you guys go and check them out for the best stuff out there. And thank you guys for sponsoring today's show.
Yeah. No matter how far we run, as soon as we turn around, he's right there with open arms. I think a lot of people think I'm too far gone. It's too late for me, and I couldn't be farther. That's what the enemy wants you to believe. He wants you to believe you're not worth saving. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Like, turn around, his arms are wide open for you, and his grace it's a waterfall of grace and mercy, and it's waiting for you.
Yeah, you don't get clean before getting into the shower, do you?
Amen.
That's right. That's right. Carter, you were seen as, a leader here at ECU's clubhouse. What would you say to this year's team? It's had a lot of downs and some ups. There's a lot of hope, and there's still everything we want to accomplish is still in front of us. Is kind of up to this year's team. But if you're a part of it, being a leader, what exactly would you say?
That's a tough question, because even last year, I would always preach, the only people that know what's really going on are the people in the locker room. Mm-hmm. Even me now as an outsider, I don't know the personalities in the locker room. I don't know all the conversations that are being had, how certain guys are showing up to the field every day. So that's a tough question for me to answer, because I don't want to say anything that as you're in the locker room, you would know, whatever I say right here, it's well, he could be so far off because I'm not in there. Right. But if I could just say one thing, it's literally just, don't even listen to me speak. Don't listen to anybody besides the guys in the locker room and your coaches. That's literally all that matters. Mm-hmm. And your parents don't know what's going on. The media definitely doesn't know what's going on. No outside voice matters. Only the guys in the locker room. Only your coaches. That's really it. And I think to a certain level, last year I preached, it's really, and Coach Godwin does a phenomenal job of this, but it is a player-led team. Yeah. It's really only the guys in the locker room that dictate anything. It's not, Coach Godwin writes the lineup and he'll call some plays, obviously, but it's up to the guys in the locker room. So I would say just believe in each other and cancel all outside noise. Don't even listen to me. Don't listen to anybody. Just the locker room. That's it.
But they need to listen to you about that. But
yeah, I don't even know what's going on. But that's it.
That's I think you still nailed it. I think that's the part, really any team though, just believing in each other. I think that's what gets you to the goals that you set before the season. Was there a leader that you looked up to early in your career that helped you shape you into the leader that you really were last year for the team?
Ooh, growing up with Zach is a strong leader, in the sense of doing things the right way at all times. I think Lane Hoover also stands out, because that dude would show up to practice balls to the wall every single day. He just got after it every single day. Same guy. So he was a lead by example kind of leader. And I think in leadership, what I'm learning is there's a lot of different styles, right? So Zach was a really good vocal leader. Mm-hmm. He could say things and get people motivated. Whereas Hoover didn't have to say any words. You could just look at him by his actions. So I like to kind of take something from everybody, and everybody does have, and I forgot who said this, John Maxwell, I believe, says it. But everybody has influence, and if you have influence, that makes you a leader. So in a sense, everybody's a leader, right? So I like to kind of take certain things from certain guys and try to apply them to my leadership ability. And what I love about it is there's no destination in leadership that you can ever get to. It's always learning and growing and trying to find something to get better at. And I'm always open for criticism or ways I can get better in leadership. And I think it's a beautiful opportunity. I think it's God has placed a knack for it since last season. kind of opening up that role and that door for me, and I'm all in. I love it now.
Yeah, I think that's my dad actually made me realize this a couple weeks ago. Um, I'm obviously one of the leaders on this year's team, and all my life I have been a really good leader. People have always told me that, but all my life I've played baseball. I've been, kind of the guy on the team that plays, but I always, was kind of like Hoove. I was leading by example, and ever since my accident, obviously I don't play as much as in like starting and stuff, and so I've really had to learn to be more like Zach and be vocal, and
Yep.
that can be uncomfortable at times because that's not my nature at all, is to correct guys.
Yep.
I'm the type of person that I'm nice to everybody. That's just kind of how I am. So like, correcting somebody is not comfortable at all. And so it's been really cool to, get out my comfort zone and grow. But before we leave today, dude, I want to fire some quick questions at you. They're pretty fun, and I want to know the answers. So first question, dude, would you rather hit a walk-off in Omaha or get your first MLB at bat?
Walk off in Omaha, not even close.
Yeah, that's a pirate right there, baby. I love it.
Yeah.
Tacos or burgers? You can only have one for the rest of your life. Which one are you picking?
If they're my mom's tacos, I'm going that.
It's
so
ramen,
good.
baby. I love it. Weirdest superstitions or pregame ritual that you've ever had?
Parker, I'm not a superstitious guy.
I know you aren't.
Pregame ritual?
I literally knew you were going to say that, but pregame
Come on,
ritual.
A lot of stretching. Like I need to stretch a ton. That's about it.
That's true. The first big league jersey that you've ever owned. What was the player? What team?
It was Vladimir Guerrero Sr. Growing up in California. It was an Angels jersey. It was sick.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. The craziest fan interaction that you've ever had?
Oh, last year there was a girl. She was probably, I want to say she was probably like 16. She wanted me to sign her forehead, and I was like, I physically will not do, like I will not do that. So that was, but she was like adamant about it. She was like, no, sign my forehead. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So probably that one.
That is wild. They will try to get you to sign a lot of crazy things out there.
Yes.
I would say mine is definitely signing a prosthetic leg would definitely be out there. That was, I mean, it was pretty cool.
That's sick.
You get to pick, 3 people to go play golf with. Any 3 people, dead or alive. Who's joining you in playing golf?
Jesus of Nazareth. Give me. I mean, the other 2 won't be able to as cool as him. I'm trying to think. Matthew McConaughey. I really like him. I think he's a cool dude. And then, oh man, maybe maybe Oprah for the vibes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. 4 people
Throw her
right
in there.
I would. That's good. This is awesome. Well, Carter, dude, I appreciate you coming on here, sharing your words of wisdom. That Pirate Nation and myself are always supporting you and your journey. We love you, dude. We appreciate you so much. Your legacy here is not just a baseball player. It's who you are, and we really appreciate it. Thank you for hopping on the Parker Byrd Show here in the Legless Lounge. And, guys, make sure you tune in. We have more coming your way. We have an incredible people with incredible stories listed up. So we're excited for that. Carter, good luck with everything, man. I'm praying for you, and I'll always keep in touch, man. So go Pirates, and God bless.